upload it on the YouTube. Yeah. So thank you everyone for joining. This is the Finance Leadership Forum. It's a finance organization that brings professionals from different walks of life to network, learn, and grow together. And today we are having the International Women's Day webinar, which we host every year, where we invite talented ladies that come and share their experiences and share their success with the wider audience. Now, I would like to introduce today's host, who is Madeline Sambo. She's a senior. In fact, let me allow Madeline to introduce herself better. I think it's when someone talks more about themselves, they know themselves better. So Madeline, I would just give you the floor. Please introduce yourself. Then we'll introduce Binta, who would give the opening remarks. So Madeline, this is your show. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, FLF members. Good afternoon to everyone joining us to this wonderful occasion that, as Pa Malik said, that we host every year. And I must say, I'm happy to host it again because I did last year. It was a privilege. And I'm happy to be hosting it again in 2025. And my name is Madeline Sambu, and I work with the National Water and Electricity Company, NAWEC, as the Senior Manager for Regulatory Affairs, which simply is the Compliance Officer. And before joining NAWEC, I was with GT Bank and for 12 years. And this is it. And at NAWEC, apart from being a compliance officer, I'm also interested in women's business. And so I am the secretary to the NAWEC Gender Committee, where we are doing amazing stuff. We are doing really, really good stuff because we just want to see women get somewhere. And I am 100% into it. And I'm happy to host our wonderful speakers that we will introduce later. Pa Malik, this is Madeline. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madeline. So I was trying to tell you that I miss your profile, so I had to use style to let you run this thing. But thanks for that. So I would just like to call on Binta, who is our VP, to just give the opinion.
I think it's Fatu Jallo.
Sorry, Fatu Jallo, to actually give us the opening remarks for this session. Thank you. Fatu, over to you.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
My name is Fatu. I'm sure it's not all of you, but most of you know me. My name is Fatu Jallo. I am a banker and insurer. I've been with FLF for a long time now, 3-4 years, I think. Yeah, so it's good to have you all on board. It's a very good topic we have today with very enthusiastic presenters. We are hoping to hear it all. We have lots of people who are very passionate about women growth and the women agenda at large. Thank you very much, all of you, for coming, and you're all welcome. We don't have so many people on board currently. I think we have 11 people on right now. Hopefully we'll have more as time goes on. But it's just to say welcome every one of you. And we are looking forward to a very fruitful presentation as usual. Thank you. And thank you very much. Welcome, all of you. Thank you. Over to you, Pamari.
Thank you very much, Fatu. And without further ado, Madeline, I'll just hand over this to you. Please introduce your presenters, your guests today. I know today will be very interesting. We'll learn a lot. These are very high-profile ladies that are successful in our society. You can actually relate with them. And today we would actually get a lot of tips, maybe those looking to become like them, they can have the opportunity to share their questions and follow their footsteps and become successful in their career. Thank you, Madeleine, over to you.
Good afternoon once again, and thank you, Pamalika. Thank you, Auntie Fatu, and thanks everybody who has taken time off their precious Saturday just to be with us. That means this is really worth the cost, and I appreciate everybody that has taken time to log in and join us and celebrating or commemorating Women's Day 2025. I would want to introduce our speakers today, and I'm so excited to introduce these young ladies. I'll start with Kumbale Goode. Actually, I met Kumbale at many forums, and I must say I'm really, really proud of her. And I was excited seeing that she's one of our speakers for this year's Women's Celebration. So Kumbale Goode is right now the CEO of Tablesoft and a Chevening alumna. Kumbale started at Insys Global. No, I don't want to go way down to her profile. So I will just take somewhere up. She was a quality assurance officer at Insys Global Gambia, a product manager still at Insys, product manager and team lead education suite at Insys Global, quality manager at Insys Global Gambia. Then she moved to IOM, which is the International Organization for Migration, as senior information management assistant. Then in the same institution as national grants officer under the UN migration, and now the CEO. This is really exciting, looking at where she started from. Among other things, Kumbale, I know her very well to be an important member of WeSTEM Gambia, which is Women in STEM Gambia, and also a board member of Gambia Startup Chamber of Commerce. So Kumbale's profile is really fat that we can go through all of it. And I just want to introduce Kumbale, Miss Kumbale Goode, to all of us here this afternoon. Kumbale, you're most welcome.
Thank you very much, Madeleine. It's a pleasure to be here.
Another exciting profile is Miss Nyillan Fye. I said earlier before we started the meeting, there's something special about the name Nyillan. We have one of our main role models, Nyillan Senghor, and we're having a Nyillan Fye. I know next year we will have two other Nyillans again that we will have out here. So Nyillan Fye again. This is also another exciting profile, and to all the ladies who have joined on this forum, it's interesting you pay attention to the pattern of how these young ladies grew. So Nyillan started as a receptionist and an administrative assistant in the US. Then she founded Miss Gambia US Pageant, a nonprofit organization. This is really interesting. I really want to touch on that when we're talking. Then she became program assistant, International Food Policy Research Institute in Washington, DC. She moved there and now back to Gambia. She joined Global Properties as HR, PR, and admin manager. Then she grew up the ladder to business development, PR manager. And now Nyillan is the general manager of Global Properties. And among other things, Nyillan is a sales consultant. You know, women will always have that side thing, a business development, sales consultant. Miss Nyillan Fye, you're most welcome. And good to have you.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here. It's a pleasure. And just to correct Mrs. Yes.
Oh, the Fye is the Mrs.
No, Mrs. Fraser.
Oh,
yes, I also want to point that out as well. Unfortunately, we've upgraded from the Miss. We are Mrs. now.
Yes, we're not Mrs.
Oh, you are Mrs.
Yes.
Okay. Your LinkedIn profiles are not updated. Okay, Mrs. Fraser and Mrs. Kumbale, can you bring up that name, Mrs.
Akibogun? That's my husband's name.
Mrs. Akibogun.
I've still held on to my dad's name, but yeah, it's Mrs. Akibogun.
Ladies, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So we get to the theme of this year. We know FLF does this every year. And for this year, the theme is Accelerate Action. And when I think about the word accelerate, I think it is just the right time in 2025. Women have been talking, not only women, organizations have been talking, societies, communities have been talking. Women, women, women. And we've been celebrating Women's Day for the past years. And now 2025 is saying accelerate the action. For me, it's just the right time. So I'll start with Nyillan. Nyillan, the theme is accelerate the action. And like I said, we've been talking about women equality, breaking the barriers, dealing with the biases. Now, what do you think is the one most important thing that we can start doing now to get into action? We've been talking, a lot of talking have been going on. Some actions have been going on. Of course, some of us see those, but what do you think now to accelerate? To accelerate is like just pressing the button, like we need to move fast. What do you think is the main thing that we need to do now to get us running?
For me personally, I believe that, as you said, things are moving, things are changing now in terms of women empowerment and what we're doing. Now, that accelerate button really is to be able to motivate people more, because the mindset has changed over the years, and it's no longer the same as before, where women can't do certain things. I think now there are so many examples of women who are doing wonderful things, amazing things all over the place, whether it's in Africa or abroad. So regardless of the exposure level, for me, I think it's a matter of just looking at what people are doing right in front of you. Maybe before, especially in Gambia, you didn't see enough examples of women that are changing the game, women that are in leadership positions. Right now, having this as an example, for me, I think it should help with the mindset of young women, especially. Maybe another perspective would be us also becoming mentors and actually being more engaged and supporting women a little bit more. Because what I've found over the years, being in Gambia especially, is being able to mentor a lot of young women and spending time with them, because some of them, you look at the confidence level, some of them, it's an issue of what parents are saying, what people are saying about them, or what families are saying, what they should be doing, what they should be studying. And I find it that spending time with them and showing them that there are other things that are existing, there are other possibilities. It's not just one thing or another. There's so much, the world is bigger than you can imagine. So for me, if you want to accelerate it and say that push button, it's looking at all the role models around that are here. When I look around, I look at, I look at Nyillan, for example, I see her and I'm like, this is someone I look up to. I want to be like her. I want to keep pushing because I know she's done it and I know I can do it. So for me, I think that's one of the aspects we can look at in terms of accelerating it and making it, go further in terms of being in Gambia here in the community where we are. But I think the mindset is really changing and we have a lot more examples, and perhaps it's just a matter of, young women looking up and opening their eyes and saying, if
Hello, Pamali.
I think it's a network glitch.
Okay.
There's a network glitch at Nyillan's end.
Why can't I do this? Starting maybe.
I'm sorry, Nyillan, we lost you for a bit. I think it's a network glitch at your end. Okay. While she tried to fix that, maybe Madeline, you can proceed and then get
Kumbale?
Yes.
From your own perspective, the same question, what do you think? What is that button that we need, that catalyst that we need to go, like to move in that speed? Because like I said, we've been talking, we've been celebrating, we've been setting up civil society organizations, we've been setting up a lot of things that speak to this agenda. What do you think now is the catalyst that we need to just kick us going, making things happen?
Just to add on to what Nyillan was saying, I think for me, it's mainly on representation. So when we talk about accelerating action, it's not that there's a lack of action, but it's just not moving as fast as it can. So really, when we are talking about accelerating it in this era, for me, it's a matter of, hello?
Just go ahead.
Yes, so for me, it's a matter of representation. So in places where decisions are being taken, are we well represented? Are we even welcome there? Because in as much as we wish to celebrate a lot of things, we need to also recognize that it's not in all spaces that most women are still welcome in, or even if they are welcome in, their voices may not be prominently heard as much as we would want it to be. So when we talk about places we can start, for me, I think it's in those places. Like Nyillan also said, it's very easy for the next generation or so on to see the work that has been put in if they see representation, if they see themselves in those places and they see themselves in those positions. Maybe some years back, it would have probably been difficult to see a female CEO of a tech firm or a GM of a real estate corporation. It was not something you saw every day. Women engineers, even if they were there, they existed, they were not really visible, I guess, to the everyday person. So I think representation matters a lot, and it cannot be overemphasized. I know it would have meant a lot if I saw somebody like me, maybe my age or not, but just a female in a certain place that I wanted to get to, because that's just a sign that, oh, it is possible and, it is achievable. So whether it's representation in places of work, whether it's representation in the legal sense, whether it's representation in our government agencies, our government institutions, whether it's representation where decisions are being finalized and being taken or being validated, there just has to be that representation that exists. I think that's one sure way of accelerating the action, because once we are part of that conversation, then it becomes easy to be part of the action because you were part of the decision.
So still back to you, Kumbale, you did talk about representation, and you growing up as a young lady. Did you have that? Did you have that person, or do you have those group of women that you look up to? What really inspired you to go this path that you went through? Because if I listen to both of you, you did talk about it's like mentorship is about having role models. It's about having something that kind of pushed you to get there. What was it for you?
Yeah, I think for me, a core memory is really from my household. My dad was very encouraging. My mom was very encouraging. My mom was a working lady. So I think it was easy for me, even in as much as the environment around maybe then was different. But my mom was actively in the workforce then. And I would see her in meetings and I'll see her taking decisions. So I think even from the immediate sense for me, my mom played a role. But even when you put on the TV then, even when I didn't recognize what I wanted to do as I grew up, now I realize how much it meant to me when I put on the TV and I see people like Nene McDowgay and I see people like Jeraba Nyangjai. Like you just saw those represent, and then as a kid, it was just exciting to see them. And I think in that era, there were quite a number of them that existed. And just the fact that they were out there, I think was interesting to me. But for as an immediate person, I think my mom played a prominent role, my parents especially. My dad is one that did not joke with education of none of the kids and really did not limit us to what we could do. So the decision of the path that we pursue was not really on the parents. They left it onto us and they were quite encouraging. I remember at one point, I thought I wanted to be a crime scene investigator. And my dad, it seems ridiculous now. I don't know why, because I used to watch a lot of crime shows then. I guess that was it. But I remember my parents when I was saying that, oh, this is what I want to do. And they were like, okay, you can start looking at, what places you would need to go to study something like that, or what course you would need to excel in to get something like that. Because obviously, if you want to do that and you're not excelling in maybe chemistry or physics and things like that, maybe that might be an issue. So you're seeing they didn't really say no, but they were sort of encouraging me into areas that they thought might lead me there. So even before looking outside, I think for me, the impact that I had internally in the household played a lot as well.
Awesome. I'll come back to you on that, Kumbel, because you keep talking about your mom and how she was a working lady. I'll come back to that. Hello, Nyillan.
Yes. Hi. Sorry, my connection went off for some reason. I don't know what happened, but yeah,
Hello?
sorry about that. Yes. Can you hear me?
It's
Hello?
okay. It's Gambia. Yes, we can hear you now.
Good.
Good to have
Good.
you back. Hello, Nyillan. Good to have you back. So Nyillan, you went through all of these. You started at a very humble, you had a very humble beginning, and now you're the general manager. And a young lady will sit there and ask, how did she do it? And because when you were talking, both of you, yourself and Kumbel, they talk about what motivates you, the mentors. What was that thing for you? What was that catalyst for you, that motivating factor?
For me, I had the opportunity to go to the US when I was young, and I lived with my mom. So it's just my mom and my two siblings. And starting with that background, I saw my mom waking up every single day, working 2-3 jobs, just to make sure that everything is okay. And I picked up these sort of habits of hard work, discipline, and consistency. And these are the founding principles, I guess, for me. Because imagine every single day being in the US and, looking at the different weather conditions. My mom is waking up every morning, going out just to make sure she gets whatever she needs to take care of her family. And that made me realize that I don't have to wait for anything. If I want something, I need to push, work hard, and achieve it. So obviously I did some of my studies in the US, and the entire time I was in the US, I kept thinking I wanted to do more. I felt that there was something missing. And with, starting up with the community organizations, I was really involved with them. I was part of the Gambian American Association in DC. And I just got involved with a lot of the women there and what they were doing. We started doing a beauty pageant and just looking at how can we give back. So for me, I would say it started there in a sense where I really wanted to make an impact and see how could we make a difference with young women, especially Gambian women from the US all the way down, trickling down to Gambia, because we had a lot of scholarship programs and we did a lot of mentorship training here when we came over with the contestants and things like that. Obviously, for me, it's a passion to be able to give back, to be able to help. But I would just say in the beginning, these core principles are what really help motivate me or keep me up, knowing that there's no limit. Just like Kumbel said, seeing her mom getting involved and doing things and being in meetings and in certain positions inspired her. And same thing with me, being able to look at my mom and look at other women, my elder sister as well. She was, taking care of us at the house. She was also, working while going to school, while doing other things at home. And it just created that mindset that there are no limits, there are no boundaries for me. And that became the core foundation. And I would say in everything else I did moving forward, I focused solely on putting my best effort, hard work, being consistent, being disciplined, and going through my studies and coming back here and picking up the positions here. All of that just packaged together, I would say is really what helped bring me to where I am today. The Gambian environment is not the same as the US environment, obviously, but I would say that when I came here, I really saw a different type of lifestyle, especially how women are seen here. Every once in a while you'll hear, why do you work so much? Or why are you putting so much effort? You should be focused on other things like, being at home or being in the kitchen or cooking or doing other elements. When in my mind, I said, I really want to make a difference. I want to work towards something. When I started with Global, it was, as an HR, and I came in and actually prior to starting a Global in Gambia, I worked for them in the US for some time. And I saw that there was a lot of opportunity in the company. So when I came over, started as an HR, that didn't stop me. I got bored being an HR. I said, there's more to do. What else can I look into? I pushed in and said, okay, I'm going to try something different. Now we went into business development, public relations. Again, that wasn't enough. We went into the apartment portfolios. I just kept pushing and looking at different things and seeing how we can always expand the company and grow. We eventually opened a property management company that's on the global properties. Again, that wasn't enough. I just kept pushing and pushing. So for me, it's a matter of looking at how can I be my best and how can I take advantage of every opportunity that comes along and just keep pushing. This is how I see it. And maybe these core principles, I would say, play a big role in my life in general, I would say.
Thank you, Nyillan. So I hear you ladies talk about my mom. And back to you, Kumbal, you said your mom was a working mother and you looked up to her. Your dad was supportive from the other end. Do you think this would have been different if you had not seen your mother in this way or as a working mother? Do you think you wouldn't have had these opportunities? Now, the reason I want to get to that is, do you think educated parents or working mothers kind of influence or are more of role models than ones that are not? Because this is also a discussion out there in our communities. So, Kumbel, I want to know, you think if this was not your situation, would your story would the story would have been different today?
So that's a tricky question. It's hard to answer because it has not been my experience, but I would not, it would be an error for me to assume that those that come from a background where maybe their parents are not learned or, they maybe didn't have as much push that I did, that they turned out differently, because I've seen people that come from a totally different background and are at levels that are amazing. So it's not necessarily that if they don't have the immediate, support, that it may influence them. But I think the important thing is noting the word mentor. So for me, because it was immediately in my household, it was easy for me to grasp. For others, they might have to look outside. It may not necessarily be their parents. But one thing that Gambian women are known for really is working hard, regardless of the type of background that they have. I think most stories that I have heard, most people that I've encountered, whether their mom is working, formally or informally in different sectors, is how hardworking their parents are, or especially their moms. So I think regardless of the background, most Gambians would likely share the same story of how impactful their parents are. So I wouldn't say that necessarily if your parents are not, or if your mom is not working formally, then it might affect you. There is a level of impact there, of course. But I think the key word we should take out of it is you must have a mentor, somebody you at least look up to, because then that person drives your passion. So it's a tricky question. But I've seen people who have a different background from me, and they came out just as amazing, and if not even more. But again, the story of always having a mentor tends to be there, whether that person you look up to or that encouraged you is in your immediate household, or maybe an extended family, or just somebody you see out on TV and things like that. So that mentor always exists in most stories. Who the mentor is, that's what differs. For me, in my case, it turned out to be my parents. Others might not be the same. But I think the key word is having that mentor and that person you look up to, even if the person doesn't know that you look up to them.
So this is interesting. The reason I asked this tricky question, like you said, because we still have those set of women who still are using the excuse of there was no one there. I didn't have anybody to look up to or to look to, or I've never had or seen a woman gone this far. Like you said, it's about the mentorship. People are out there. Sometimes you just see a woman on TV doing awesome things, doing great things. For example, somebody can be listening to Kumbel today and would really go to the internet and find out immediately who Kumbale is and can find a way of reaching out. So to those ladies out there who think there is no one to look up to, maybe like Kumbale said, it's not immediate. There are mentors out there, even though they don't know that they're your mentors. And back to you, Nyillan. You're the founder of Miss Gambia US pageant, which you talked about. What motivated you? You know, we keep hearing women don't like to take risk or they're afraid to start. And you seem to be interested in starting, in making things happen. Like you don't wait for someone to tell you, Nyillan, let's do this. You use your own initiative to start. Where did you get that that courage? As we see a lot of women would sit there and wait for maybe a guy to start and they just follow.
I would say it's been in me for a while since I was young. I remember when I lived in Bakote, I would get all the kids on the street together and we'll do something. So there was always an initiative every week. I remember my parents complaining all the time that the house was always filled with people and always dirty and noise because I'm bringing kids from everywhere. So I would say maybe it's something that's instilled in me, and it's just a passion that I have to do things. You know, you mentioned starting things. I really believe that, you know, when it comes to doing certain things or when I have an idea, I'm ready to kickstart it. I may not be there to fully continue because I like to put people in places to actually take on with it. And this is something that, again, started a long time ago. And with the pageant, it was just another community event, community organization event. And I saw that there was an opportunity to do something. And I said, why not? Let's have a, you know, beauty pageant, Miss Gambia USA. And it really took up and it became a really big event. And I remember we even came down to Gambia and met the president and all of that. And we made a lot of impact locally because we were doing a lot of fundraising and so on. So I would say it's really instilled in me. It's something that I've had, it's a hunch that I have, and I'm happy that I have this hunch because even today it's still helping me because when I look at all the things we're doing in global, when I wake up in the morning and say, we're going to Bissau, we're going to Sierra Leone, and we start planning the Bissau trip, and the next month I'm in Bissau, and you know, everyone's looking at me like, are you sure you're ready for this? You know, so for me, I think it's a passion. I love it, and I am happy to have it. I thank God for it. But it's something that I love, honestly. And yeah, it's just me, honestly.
So part of the actions that I believe, and maybe many others, is like something needs to be done swiftly as maybe organizations, as communities, as individuals. We need to act swiftly. Well, like, what do you think, for example, in your own institution, as an institution, what strategies do you have in place to bridge this inequality gap?
For global, I mean, we have a really good environment in terms of supporting women. When I look at from the leadership itself, the reason why I've been able to move around global and do all of these different things, it's the leadership that we have. The CEO, Mr. Fraser, he is one of the most open-minded people I know in my life because, you know, he allows you to take a chance. Because I realize that many situations, you might be in an institution where they don't give you an opportunity to try things or to do things. You might come up with an idea. It happened when I actually lived in Nigeria for 2 years prior to coming to Gambia. It's not in my profile, but I lived there for 2 years and I worked as a corporate affairs officer for an international school. And every time I had an idea, we had a library project. We brought everything together. We started, you know, incorporating reading into the curriculum, and everyone wanted to shut it down. Every time I brought something up, it's always like, no, 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 you can't do this. It's not part of this. You can't do this. So it was very limiting. So I would say within our organization, having having a leadership that is open-minded, that also encourages people to do things and try things. I'll give one of the examples. One of my staff, she's the top sales agent at Global, and she started recently. She hasn't been there for a long time, but because she came in, you know, she's working under me. I'm mentoring her, and gradually she became the top sales agent. She's bringing millions into the company. She's changed her life, and now she sees the reason why she should push and she should be determined and be consistent, and maybe perhaps use certain techniques when it comes to selling. And before, she couldn't even sell an apartment. She was more focused on selling land, and she'll tell me, I can't do it. I'm not in that zone. And I literally spent time with her, gradually showing her the projects for the apartments, how the apartment differentiates from the land or the built houses. And now she's the top sales agent in Global. She's been able to travel in the US for the tour. She's gone to Nigeria with me. She's probably the next person I'll take on the next trip that we're going to go to, depending on how she's performing with her sales. So for me, I think creating that conducive environment where people are allowed to take advantage of the opportunities, allowed to thrive and be able to try things, I think that makes a difference within our organization. And we're doing it across the board with all the different departments that we have. And it's not limiting, just put it that way. I think if more organizations look at not limiting people in terms of employees, I would say, and empowering them and encouraging them and motivating them to reach for their goals, I think that would be helpful. Anyway, it's working for us at Global Properties. And I would say this is one of the reasons why I've been able to climb that ladder and not feel that I am stuck at HR only, you know. And even the recent HR is now promoted to assistant GM because she's also doing well. She's been with the company for 17 years now. So just to show that there's a lot of growth within the institution itself, because it's encouraging and we're encouraging it 100%.
Awesome. So to you, Kumbale, you are in a field, you are in a very interesting field, and I must say I'm proud of both of you ladies. But Kumbale, in your field, we know it is male dominated, of course, just like the real estate. And you are the CEO of TableSoft. What are you doing at TableSoft that will kind of motivate or inspire other young women or other institutions to look up to what TableSoft is doing? Because again, for us to achieve, to move together, to bridge this gap, we need to go together. We cannot do it in silos as individual institutions or group. What are you doing specifically at TableSoft that you think another organization will say, yes, that is a good direction?
I think is being willing to share the space. So our team is quite small, relative to most, or relative to to Nyillan's team. But one thing that we do is just to be encouraging and be open. So when I'm in the office, really, unless you know me personally, you would not assume that I'm the CEO. Because we try to create that open space for everybody to learn and everybody to work together. With the female staff that we have, I think there is one particular that I knew that I had to intentionally push, because I felt like she had so much to offer and she had so much skills, even though she didn't realize it. But I think another thing is, as somebody in a position of leadership, is to be able to recognize the potential of your staff, especially with the female staff, and being in a position where you are able to encourage them and help them grow instead of demoting them and bringing them down. I know most people, there's always this, I don't know where that notion came from, but that having female bosses is difficult. I've heard that from other people a number of times, and that is one philosophy that I don't subscribe to. If you create a harsh environment for your staff, you're only making things impossible for yourself. So I think the open, I don't know what the right word is, but the open environment that we've created within the office has really been helpful. Any female staff that come in, we've had interns that come and go, that are still attached to the office and still pass by or still check up on us. We've had female staff that have passed through us as a company that have gone for further studies. Until today, they still call and check up. Like the first time I got the call, I was surprised. I was thinking as they leave, they've probably forgotten us. But no, they still call and check up on the staff and see if there's any way that they can help. And that, to me, is just a fulfilling experience, because it shows that we are doing something right. So I just think creating the right environment for your staff, especially the female staff, and being accommodating, because sometimes there's so many extenuating circumstances that females go through that some men may not understand. And I think having in that position and sharing in some of those experiences has also been helpful, because I am able to relate and thus understand to a certain extent. So yeah, I think creating the right environment has been helpful.
So Kumbal, I know you are at this position. I know it was not all rosy. And I just want to touch on challenges. I used to tell people that what men need, just a single step to show, women will have to need like 10 to really prove themselves. Have you had, as a leader, have you had those challenges in which you think you're being your decisions or your initiatives are being looked down upon? Because I've experienced women who are actually afraid of certain leadership roles because their thoughts or their ideas or comments in any forum is disregarded. Have you had such challenges?
Yes. So I try not to, I think in this line of work, what has helped me really in the last few years is not try to focus too much on the negativities, because if I do, honestly, there's not much I will be able to do, and it can bring you down so quickly. But there have been challenges. It would be remiss of me to say that there hasn't been. I remember one particular meeting that I went to. It took me a while to secure this meeting, and when I did, and I was presenting what we came to offer to the institution, I could see the distraction from some people, but it was worse for me when we got to a certain point and the leader of this institution pointed out that, because we got to a slide where I was showing the staff that we have and the experiences that we all have. And when I got to this slide, a picture of myself and the team was on the screen. And I was in a serious, you know, when you're in a serious zone and you're focused. And the only comment of everything that I had presented, the revolutionary idea I was sharing, the only comment that the leader of this institution could make was, "Oh, is that you? You look prettier in the slide than I do. I look different. Oh, there I have long hair. Right now I don't have long hair." Like that took the wind out of my sails when he said that. And I try to be as respectful as possible. So I had to redirect, giggled a bit and then redirected the conversation back to why I was there. But that is just one example of times and spaces where you get to, and either you are looked down upon because you're female. So I have things stacked against me. They are not stacked against me, but conventionally they will be considered as stacked against me. I'm female. I'm young. I'm a leader of an institution. And usually when you stack these things, I may not be the picture people expect. And then I come out like this. So you can always sometimes see the look of, oh, is this her? And most times coming from men, unfortunately. Or even when I'm trying to have a serious conversation and it's disregarded, for example, the meeting that I was explaining. But I have built or I am building a strong skin. I don't know what it is, but I try to not let it faze me. It gets disappointing at times. And especially in cases where men would think, oh, she's females, so maybe, you know, I don't know, some females might get it here. But let's take the conversation to something personal. I don't encourage that at all. Like at all. It's something I don't encourage at all. But you see some men try to make passes at you when you're in a professional zone. These things are quite disappointing for me. And most times I will flat out tell you, you have disappointed me in this line of conversation. And because again, it's about work, I will still keep my focus upon that work. If you're going to kick me out because I said something that's not nice, that's fine. But I came there for a reason and I will still push. But I would say that in my previous role and even in my current role, I've been surrounded by as well amazing men that have seen my potential and are really open to pushing what I'm doing. So in as much as there's been negative, I've received more positives than negatives. The negatives are bound to happen. People looking down on you, people thinking, you know. But I think for me, that one particular example especially just showed a lot, because I know if it was a man doing that presentation, the reception that I got, I would not, I'm very certain of that. So that was a very disappointing, one of the disappointing scenarios I've had to be in, but that's
Yeah, I
just
know
one
you must have.
example of it.
You must have had a lot of them.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. And since we are accelerating, like I said, we know some of these challenges. Some of us experienced them along the way on our career. We did experience some of these things, like men looking down on you, thinking that whatever comes out of a woman's mouth is worth nothing. And we tried, like you said, to build thick skin. But what do you think, Kumbale, that we can do as a society or as a country to improve on these perceptions? Because for me, it's a perception thing. And until this thing is kind of improved upon or is wiped out completely, I know it's not going to happen soon, we will always have women hesitant to get to these leadership roles, or women hesitant to lead institutions or to have certain initiatives. What do you think as a country we need to do?
I think what we need is to stop defining our capabilities by our gender or our sex. You cannot define a woman because they're a woman. You cannot define what she can do or cannot do just because she's a woman. I think once we get ourselves out of that notion, really there's nothing else holding us back. It's just that mentality that we have to change. You cannot define me by just because I'm female, so you've already attached a connotation to me. And usually it's, oh, she's weak, or she has attitude, or she that and that. But somebody with passion has to show you some bit of emotion, and that's all we're exhibiting. So I think it's just a perception. Our mindset has to change, how we see women. When I come forward to you, I'm not coming forward to you just as a female. Me being female makes up a large part of me, but it's not the only part. And we just have to start recognizing that and knowing that we deserve the space that we are in. I did not come here because I would not get this role because I'm just female. If that was the case, then we would be saying something totally different about tables of today. But I'm here because of my capabilities. That's what was put forward first. So we should look at every other female the same way as well. We're not here because we are just female. You get?
I get it. But Kumbale, here, we need to stop defining. That's stop. But what action do you think we should start doing at grassroots? Say from my home or from your home, what do we have to start doing? Because for me, I believe that's where it starts. We have to start acting somewhere. We have to start with the action. Because I cannot just go to a forum and maybe start talking to people about how they should start viewing women, that women are capable. For me, I think it's more of an action. What action do you think we need to start doing?
Yeah, so I think from the household, so from the household, maybe one way is chores, maybe, is one thing I can think of right now. Chores, all of us in Gambia knows, most chores are only assigned to females. It was not the case in our household, but most times that's what the association is. And that is where the definition of what each person is supposed to do starts. Because you've already defined that girl as a kid, oh, this is what all these house chores, cleaning, cooking, sweeping, blah, 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 everything should be this the female, the girl child in the household. That for one. Number one, what you're showing is everything hard is what she's supposed to do. And what you're showing the male gender is, all my life, not that it's easier, but that everything else that they've not given to me to do is not my responsibility. But what you're doing is now you've groomed a generation of men that may not be able to, that are not self-sufficient at some point. Because now as a female, no matter where I go, I can take care of myself. Can you say the same thing for your son that you've groomed in your house? If they grow up, can you confidently say he'll be able to take care of himself? I remember a few people that I've met that traveled out to study, most Gambian men, when they travel out to study, the first thing is, oh, I have to learn how to cook. Oh, I have to figure out the laundry. Oh, I have to figure out, like, you see, most times they're like in their 30s or late 20s and they're figuring it out then. Whereas for us, it's just another day. But I think if we start from something as minor as that, that is where the labeling changes, because now you will not be bringing in a generation of entitled men and entitled for things that are not really, that should be an essential life. What do I call it? Life, I don't know what the word is, but something that should be an essential part of life. Now they have considered it as an essential part of being a woman alone. And then that changes that, so that it goes back to the definition I was talking about. That then changes the mentality of, oh, maybe this should be only for men and this should only be for women. So something as small as that, share the house chores amongst all your kids in the house, boy or girl, then they wouldn't feel so, and that's just one small example, but I think that's one good way to start, just from the household impact.
It is. I totally agree with you. And back to you, Nyillan. You are in a field, real estate, that you are exposed to a lot of things. You go to the field, probably surrounded by men. Most of these contractors or site workers are all men. Do you ever have this fear of let's say, being looked down upon, or do you just, or are you always comfortable finding yourself in such a situation, maybe surrounded by men in the middle of nowhere, in a construction site, for example? The reason I'm saying this, because this again is affecting women going into certain fields, because they have this risk factor.
One thing I can say is that Gambian men, yes, okay. Can you hear me now? Yeah. One thing I can say is that a lot of Gambian men don't instructions from a woman. That is one thing I can put forward right now, just to put it out there. Coming from a GM that was a male, who's been there for almost almost 18 years as well, to someone who's a woman now, who's probably younger than most of them, and is now giving them instruction on site, doing a walkthrough and saying, I need this done here, I need that done here. The first thing you hear the moment I'm not around is, who does she think she is? Or what has gotten into her? Or why does she think she can tell me what to do? And this is something that is very, very common. Now, when you go down to the site, you have people, most of the workers that are there, maybe they may not be educated. And that also adds an even heavier load, because they can't simply understand why they're getting instructions or orders from a female. So yes, do I get it on a daily basis, especially when I'm on site? I do. But for me, it's just keeping focus and knowing that when this is done, we're going to get the results and the customers are going to be happy. When you're doing the construction, if you're supposed to do it a certain way, or if the facade looks a bit different, that maybe you did some shortcuts and we say redo it again, and the instruction is coming, because they will eventually come and say, the site workers are not listening, so we need you to go and give instruction. When I'm on site, I say, this is how it needs to be done. I may not have the technical know-how, but I do know that there's certain elements that need to be done correctly. I'll portray that information out, and they do have attitude around it. They do take their time and say, why do I have to do it? And they do resist at times. Just recently, I had an encounter at one of our sites, a construction site. I went in, we were walking through with a client, and the client wanted to see certain things. And this male employee, he was very difficult. I had to call his supervisor to come and address him just to be able to listen to me so I can give him instructions on what the customer wants to do in his apartment. So just some of those examples are there. But I'm just, I have a tough skin. And as long as the objective is to get the job done and to move forward, for me, I don't have a problem with it. And anything that comes is just, it's just there, it's just noise, and I keep going. But they do see me as, most people would say she's changing now. When before she was a GM, she was calm, she was quiet, she wasn't giving instructions, she was just minding her business. Now, all of a sudden, she's a GM, she's now giving instructions, saying you can't do this, you can't do that. But it doesn't bother me at all. But for them, especially the male employees, yes, they do have a problem with receiving instruction from me. And sometimes you'll even have, even the client, sometimes you deal with a customer, you give them all the information, you help them throughout. They say, well, I want to see the CEO. I want to speak to him because he's the overall boss. And I don't take it personal. I'll just call Mr. Fraser and say, hey, this customer wants to speak to you. And he will say, she's the one in charge. Huh? She's the one that's actually doing all of these things. So why don't you go back to her? But it's just a cycle of getting used to, and I'm okay with it. But it happens, and it happens every day.
So I think I am being inspired already. I know personally too, I have a thick skin to these things. But of course, as human beings, there are those days that you wish you were never in that leadership position. And I think this, for other women, they're struggling to deal with. But I want to come back to this. I read somewhere that the World Economic Forum estimates that the current rate of progress in terms of gender parity won't be achieved until 2158. And from your experiences, because for Gambia, we still have a long way to go, especially hearing from you ladies. Kumbale gave an example where we have to start at home. Do you think, or where do you think we are in Gambia? Now, looking at this, we might achieve, that is even an if condition, we might achieve the parity in 2158. This is not going to happen in Gambia from my experience and from all the different people I talk to. What do you think is the main problem? What is the main problem here in Gambia? Because societies are different, countries are different, like you say, it's different. Maybe you wouldn't have experienced this in Nyillan, for example, if you're still in the US. A GM is a GM, whether it's a female GM or a male GM. And in Gambia, it is this way. You would have to do some extra stuff to prove that you are the GM, like already what you're experiencing. Or when she was HR, she was calm, now she's GM. You have to kind of be everywhere to really have a stronger voice for people to be able to listen to you, to recognize that you are the GM.
So my personality really resonates with, when I'm doing something, I really want to give it my all. And if there's nothing that I'm going to change, I don't want it. And, when I became GM just recently, I, went to every single department and I assessed to how things are working. Then I took my time, identified all the issues, and gradually I'm meeting each and every department head and walking through things. Obviously, there's resistance from some angles, both maybe men and women sometimes. But for me, it's about creating that structure and knowing that this is what I want, and this is how we're gonna sort of collaborate to make an impact in the company. Because we, with Global being 18 years, I keep telling Mr. Fraser, where you're now 18, you're turning 18, we're moving to our office building. So now it's time to change Global in itself. We need to rebrand, we need to uplift the image of the company. It's no longer just a small household company, right? So just going in step by step and trying to do this, I feel sometimes I'm alone, huh? Because I'm looking at it, I'm like, where is everyone? Because there's a lot of talk. I know you're saying 2050 or something. That seems like a long time to come. But for me, there's a lot of talking and little action, perhaps, when it comes to these things. And we really need to engage more and put it into action. And for me, I think if more Gambians are actually acting more than talking, I think that would make a bigger difference. Because just looking at our environment that we have now and the young people that I have around me, the young sales agents that I'm recruiting, and how we're working with each other and how we're changing the perspective about sales. Sales is no longer just walking on the street, wearing a t-shirt and walking and going door to door, knocking on everybody's door and saying, buy this and buy that, but just changing the whole angle, how we're incorporating technology, using the different databases. Most of the staff they may not know how to use it. They may not know how to use the system. So they start to reject the system, but forcing them and pushing them and training them and getting them to actually see the difference. So for me, I think the action part is how we can at least help contribute towards that. But 2050 something seems a long way, and it's 21 something. It's too far for me. 21, yeah, it's too far for me. It seems so far. But I think gradually, one corporation at a time, one institution at a time, and maybe communities at a time. But I think the biggest element really is that we are doing a lot more talking. You know, you see all these forums, you see all these initiatives, you see all this talk, but where's the action? Where's the real time action? And you know, you hear, oh, I'm mentoring these people, I'm mentoring that, but you do one mentorship a year and you speak to them once. Are you following up? Where's the sustainability element of the mentorship? So I just feel that if, you know, there are more women like myself and Kumbale and everyone else here that is sort of taking more initiatives either within their organizations or even personally, to get more women on board. I am a board member to the Woman Boss. I admire our Mary, what she's doing, and some of the young ladies that are there, I'm actually working with now. And it's amazing how she's been able to, you know, turn them around. And you know, one of the young ladies said, before I went to the Woman Boss program, I actually didn't even know what I wanted to do. I had zero confidence. And now she's being groomed up as the next top sales agent at Global. And she's super excited about it. And she actually has a vision now. So I just think personally, it's, you know, initiatives like that, the Woman Boss, and I'm sure there are other initiatives that are around as well that are really spending more time one-on-one and then following up with these, you know, with these young ladies and ensuring that, you know, they're actually growing and they're moving forward and investing in them. I think this is one way to go. And if you have a company or an institution that you're working with, you should go the extra mile and push. And to all the men out there and that also have their companies and institutions, they should be the ones that are also holding our hands and supporting us and giving us the opportunity. If something comes up for training, you know, don't just say because she has a child, she's at home, so she needs to be at home, so she can't go to this training. No, why don't you find a way to help, you know, create an environment where she can go to this training, maybe, you know, offer some other services and so on and so on. But it just seems it seems so far. And I just believe that we can do a lot right now. And Gambia is a small country. You know, if we put in more effort, I believe we can make an impact and maybe even get there before 2150, 58. I don't know. This is just my thinking now. Yeah.
I hope so. Back to Kumbale. Kumbale, now at national level, because now as individual institutions, we see those institutions that are really doing well. I like to take the example of Nyillan Senghor, what she's doing. That's also one other example, but we're doing it individually. And to Kumbale, do you think maybe at national level, we need to go back to the policies or rewind the wheel, see what new strategies we can put in place to bridge this gap?
There's one thing the Gambia, as a people or as a government, we are good at is drafting policies, and not really working on it. So I think if there's anything policy-wise, it's rather to review the policies and see how it should be implemented, as Nyillan said. We've done enough workshops, we've done enough validation, we've done enough, what do they call it? Cross-country, whatever we want to call it.
Study tours.
Yes, we have we not compiled enough data at this point? We just need to work, like Nyillan said. We do too much talking and writing in this country for my liking. It's time to put, how do they say it? Put something where our mouth is. We need to start working, basically. So if it's anything regarding the policies, I think it's rather to go through those policies. If there's anything that should be updated accordingly, and make a conscious effort to actually push these out to the general public? What are the strategies around these policies? How do we take this from just a document to a living word in the communities? So we should not just be, we are good at stacking policies and creating them. Now it's time to take these off the shelf and actually do the work. Convert them into strategies, get to action plans, really start working and not just, I think we have enough policies. At least every other week at least every week you're hearing of something we are validating. But really it just ends there. What are we doing with all that? It takes money to go through all these processes, you know, drafting all these policies, getting it validated and all of that. It takes money. So, but is that all we want out of it? You'd want this back to the people. So how are we getting that? I think that's where the problem is. How are we getting these theoretical notes out and making it actionable? That's what we need to do now. We've talked enough, we've written enough, we've thought enough. Let's do the work now.
So do you think it's a problem of resource persons or getting people who are interested in this matter? What do you think is the problem? Because like you said, the documents are there, everything is there, but nobody is implementing and nobody is measuring or monitoring anything. Do you think it's a lack of interest or a lack of the resources? What do you think is the problem
I don't
here?
think it's lack of interest or resource, really. I'm not sure what it is, but I know it's clear that government institutions and ministries are technically not implementing bodies. Are those implementing bodies empowered enough to deliver what is supposed to be delivered? And I think that's why you have most of these associations and groups coming up, because really we've done the talking, but the work is not there. And that's why you see all these groups, Woman Boss and the like, coming up to actually do the work. So I don't think the resource is unavailable. I think it's there. I also don't think the passion is lacking. I think it's there when we have discussions like this, and you hear some of the work that institutions like are doing, WeSTEM, Woman Boss, you know, Hackathon Girls, all of these, is because they have seen the gap and they want to do the work. But I think where the misalignment is those drafting the policies and those doing the work are not on the same page. And I think that's where maybe the discussion should start. Because if those drafting the policies, those drafting the strategies, if they are not in alignment as well with those doing the work on the ground, then we will always be having this discussion. But if they're all on the table, what we are drafting, is it practical? You guys are the ones on the field, you guys are the ones on the ground, you guys are the ones going to these villages and towns. What we are drafting, are they practical? Do they make sense? You know, are these things that we can break down to the grassroots level? And these people that are on the ground, the implementers, are then also able to say, you know what, from the work we've done on the ground, this is what we are able to provide you to help with these policies. So I think really it's a conversation of just bridging that gap instead of turning that into a friction. Yeah, I think that might be helpful.
Thank you. I think we've looked at what needed to be done, of course, which is action. Something has to start, and it has to start from the lowest level, from the home, from our various offices, our various departments, in our societies where we live, our communities, and we got the message. So I think for now, Kumbale and Nyillan, we'll just open the forum to the audience to ask their questions or maybe to add in their comments. Pamalik, can you facilitate that? I see Auntie Fatou sending a message that she wants to ask a question or add a comment.
Yes, thanks, Madeline. So please feel free to put your comments or questions on the chat, and then we'll share it with the presenters. Auntie Fatou, you can actually go ahead on your question. Feel free to unmute. Let me know if you want to speak.
Yes, Pamalik, I do. Thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you. Thank you very much, Madeline and Kumbale and Nyillan. Thank you very much for these wonderful conversations. I must say, we've been doing this for a long time, and I tend to agree with the theme to accelerate action. Those of us that started this journey long before, a lot of you came on board. It's been a tough journey, and it's been a very challenging one as well. I would say, did we do any action? Yes, but is it being recognized, or is it that they're not hearing our voices? They're not hearing us when we talk. Is it that these policies, like you guys rightly said, that are being formulated are not being implemented? Are these the reasons why it is taking time for us to action whatever we're talking about in this fora that we meet, in these validation workshops that we go to? What is happening? I think we need to get to the bottom of this. I remember when we started, I was a CEO, I think, in 2014, 2013. And yes, it has been all these challenges that you guys are talking about has been there. When you talk and people don't listen, when you give instructions and they're like, oh, it's a lady. When a bunch of men walk into my office, and the first one that walks in looks back and tells the others, oh, it's a lady. And then that really tells you, oh, what is this about? What if it's a lady? So the whole conversation, the whole thing, it tells you that there's a mindset issue. And I think that is what is still happening. There are mindset issues. There are certain people that don't believe in women leadership. There are certain sect of people that don't believe in women giving out instructions. And these are what we need to tackle from where it is, from the grassroots, to be able to, because these are issues. And when you want to take care of issues, we need to get to the root cause of this. Because if people are still thinking that women should not give instructions, then we have a problem. I think these are some of the issues that we need to talk about. That was just a comment, by the way. Just wanted to ask also, Kumbale, is I understand I met her a couple of times, really. I must apologize. At first, I didn't know she was Gambian, until I think later when I met her again, just to find out how she's juggling the two, being a CEO in an organization and also running her own outfit. Okay, thank you very much, Martin.
Thank you, Auntie Fatu. Kumbale, do you want to take all the questions?
Thank you so much,
and
Auntie
answer, or
Fatu.
you want to?
That was a good comment.
Can we have all the questions? Then we can pose it to the
okay, then I'll need
presenters.
to write them down. Hello?
Yeah, Kumbale, I was asking whether you want to take all the questions or you want to just answer as they ask.
Yeah, I can just answer as they ask, just quick one.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, how I'm juggling work and it's not always easy. I think mentally it can be challenging sometimes. I try to have supportive people around me as much as possible, and cut out anything that would stress me out, honestly. But mentally sometimes it can be a challenge. I know I've had to have discussions with other females in the industry, with my partner as well, just on how mentally cumbersome it can be. And most times they are able to offer help or take things off my plate to make life a bit easier. So it can be challenging. And for me, usually it's mentally trying to just put everything together in one place. But I also still try not to let that take over my life, because there are different parts of one's life that you have to put together. And I think as Gambian women, one thing that we've been taught is how to multitask, even though it's really not the best skill to have sometimes. But I think one thing I'll just say is you need to do sometimes a mental check of yourself, whether it's to talk to somebody or not. But that's one thing that helps. Just have people that I can randomly talk to just get out of my head. Because sometimes it can be a lot physically and mentally, it can be challenging. Over to you, Madeleine.
Malik, do you have any other question?
Yeah, I have a question of my own. The question to Kumbale. You know, we've heard about table pay. What is table pay, and how did it get to existence?
Thank you, Malik. Now you're about to make me start talking and not stop.
I know, right?
By the way, Kumbale was my batchmate at the University of the Gambia, so we did a lot of CS courses together.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Awesome.
So you see, that's why when you reach out, there's no way I can say no, Malik.
This is interesting.
Right.
Yes, but so TableSoft is a fintech company, so financial technology company. So what we primarily do is offer digital payment solutions, but also software solutions for financial institutions, whether it's a bank or a remittance institution, software basically. We've been in operation in Gambia since 2021, so we're still growing. Our team is quite small, but we also have a hybrid team because we have a sister company in the UK that offers remittance services through us. So remittance is also part of the other things that our sister company does and channels through us. So when it comes to digital payment solutions, for example, we're able to, this is really my baby, I would say, because I know one challenge for most business owners in Gambia, especially micro business owners, is how to receive their money easily. You can't really use PayPal, you can't really use any of these card systems. It becomes impossible and the charges are hard. But through our payment integration services, we're able to provide you a platform that allows you easily receive your payments locally here in Gambia and Dallas and be able to pick it up from the bank or from any of our partner locations. For software solutions that we build, I think we've been able to partner with clients like InnovaRex, also on the payment solution, Afrijula, Insysnet. So basically now their clients from anywhere can pay using their Visa card or Table Pay to make their payments directly here in the Gambia. We also offer cash disbursement or funds disbursement services. So we have a project with IOM currently, and I are responsible for disbursing funds for the different beneficiaries that they have, either through our wallet or through cash. Software, we build custom-built software, and this is through our white labeling service. So the cost of building software is quite high for most companies, especially whether it's a wallet or so on. So what we're able to do is white label a platform. So we have a core technology that they can easily, that we can easily white label for them and have a custom built app that they can use. Which is something we've or are currently deploying for Nakuk. We also have a digital wallet on the market, which is one of our most prominent solution in the Gambia, and it's called Table Pay. It's a digital wallet that you can use for transfers, bill payments, and things related to that. Yeah, so it's quite an interesting service, a range of services that we offer as well. So Nyillan, hopefully we can work together soon.
I was thinking about the same thing. Yes, I was thinking.
Okay.
Yes, there's also another question. This goes to Nyillan. What would you say to salary earners like me that are thinking that they can never own a house in the Gambia? What will you say to them?
You're wrong. You can have a property in the Gambia. You're definitely wrong. As we do have payment plans that we offer for properties. We also we are currently partnering with the banks, EcoBank, GT Bank, and a few other banks that are doing mortgages. Trust Bank, they're doing mortgages with our properties. So you'll be able to have the loan through the bank, and they would finance the property, and then you would pay the bank on a 10-year mortgage, for example. And we're also working on a mortgage bank itself. So we're still in the planning stages, and hopefully soon in the final stages, where we could offer longer term mortgages and also maybe lower interest rates. But if you're a salary earner, whether you're in the Gambia or not, you can still get a loan through any of the banks that I've mentioned here, and be able to finance a property. And it's not just a plot of land. You could actually finance land, build properties, apartments, anything. It's just based on what your earnings are. But yes, definitely, Pamalik, I can get you anything you want. Just let me know, So
Thank you.
it's available. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think we have Salifu's hand up. Salifu, you can go ahead and ask your question. And thanks, Nyillan, for that. At least if you're paying rent, it's a good way of, substituting your rent payment into mortgage and then own a house, right? Thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you very much, Pamalik. I can keep listening. We initially programmed this to be 1 hour. When I look at the watch now, it's 1 hour 30 minutes. Minus maybe the delay, you can say about 1 hour 20 minutes. So it shows how much people are willing to discuss this. And I think a lot have been said, and the call to or the key takeaway is just to go there and do the actions. And for me, that's where I want to maybe ask the two ladies. I know a lot have been talked about men not being supportive, men having to change their mindset. But we hear this notion of jigenation problem, do gurni. A lot of that. How have we seen this? Because I just want to make reflection on even our platform. It will be 2 questions. Okay. The first question is, what support are really women getting from women to get this concept of acceleration to another level? The second question is, in terms of the mentorship, this platform have created a women wing. Yes, we're still crawling on having to get it up and running. But a couple of years ago, we opened a mentorship package. Until this day, we are yet to have a single person to register, and we have very capable women who are there ready to support them. What can we do to change that? To have these 2 people, the mentor and the mentee, come together. Thank you.
Nyillan, do you want to go first?
Sure, I can go first.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Salifu, for that statement and also for the questions. When I hear women supporting other women, I have to take a deep breath because sometimes it can be challenging. But there are women out there who are supporting other women, and I'm just truly going to use the woman boss as an example of how women are supporting other women. Perhaps in maybe other contexts or other environments, you may see women who may be, jealous or whatever the case is of another woman, and they may, try to bring them down. But I believe that most of us really do want to help our fellow women succeed, because it reflects back onto our true characters of who we are. When I look at myself personally and how the woman boss has impacted my life and the support I've received from them and all the other women, it just reassures me that there are a lot of women out there who want to support other women. And I can tell you that right now, being at Global, most of the other partners we work with are women, and they have institutions, they own their own companies. As Kumbale was just talking, I was sitting here thinking, wow, I could really use this platform, because at Eden Homes, we're struggling with clients paying for their rent, and they're abroad and they have no means of getting the funds here. And because it's maybe just about 1,000 euros, they can't do a wire transfer. It's going to be complicated. So I'm sitting here already imagining how I could just partner up with her to make my business more efficient, yet also supporting her business. And for me, I think, that mindset is going to have, it should change. And hopefully with more women, especially the ones on this platform, they would definitely look more towards that. And I must say that I've met other women as well who have been very supportive, who have also been very positive as well. And I see what they're doing. Now, in terms of the mentorship part, I really believe that there are a lot of women out here in Gambia. Just imagine today if all of these women just took up one other person, one other young lady, and just spent the whole year mentoring them and tutoring them and walking them through whatever career decisions that they want to make. I believe that we're going to make an impact. I think this is sort of the starting point. Again, it goes back to how much of talking we're doing versus how much action we're actually taking. So I believe really if we take a personal initiative and say this year, 2025, I'm going to pick 1 or 2 young ladies and I'll spend my best effort and time and understand what they're doing and give it 100%. I think it's going to make a difference because I'm doing it right now and it's working. Not only am I doing it inside of Global with the young ladies that are there, I'm also doing it outside of Global. I've met several young ladies. One happens to be a tailor. She's sewing outfits and she's extremely talented when it comes to these European wear. She's not too good in African, but when it comes to the European wear, when she makes a suit for you, most of the clothes I wear that are European, she makes them. And you can't tell the difference between what she's sewing versus what I'm buying at H&M or online anywhere else in, abroad. And I've just been working with her for the past 6 months. And today she has, opened her own shop and she's hired her own team and she's growing gradually and she's actually has a portfolio where she can make an outfit a month for you so that you can always have new outfits and changing. So she's coming up with different packages. She has a receipt book now. She's looking at payment systems. So we could even, find a way to get Kumbale's product with her. She has EcoBank and other banks to make payments. So just for me, 6 months with her and how her life has changed, I believe that if each and every one of us out here right now could do the same, and maybe every year we sit back and say we've helped, to 100, and imagine that 100 is replicating to another 100, I believe that's going to make an impact. So this is in my opinion, I believe this is the way to go. And eventually this could grow and get into get at the national level and so on and so on. But I believe the direct impact really is what can we do individually right now and to support women, really. Thank you.
Yes, just on the same question. So what support are women getting from women? I think that notion that jigen I know or whatever they call it, I personally don't experience this. Maybe that's why I don't subscribe to it. But I know one perfect example is my current role when I started some years back. The major push, support and influence and connection to networks that I had was mainly from women that were either already in the industry or that were not even well known. But just the connection, oh, I think your service would work well for this person, or I'll introduce you to this person, or I've seen this opportunity come across my desk. I think you make a perfect fit for it. I would say for the first year of my role, most of these opportunities were pretty much thrown at me and all from women. So that's why I don't really subscribe to this or women against women type of thing. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but it's also this, we can say the same thing as well for men. Men and other men is an issue, but we can't say the same for all of them. So does that exist? Yes, but it also exists in the same scene for men. But it's just because that's what's more publicly seen. I guess maybe what we should be doing more then is sharing where women helping women more than sharing the negative sides. Probably that's what the issue is. But my personal experiences has not been in that. When I came into this industry, the way I was, my current role, especially the way I was embraced by women and the way they opened up their own networks to me was amazing. People that I considered colleagues, people that were older than me, people that were younger than me, all females have been very, very helpful. I'm not saying men were not, but just in line with your question, that has been amazing for me. Even to the point where the first first non-cash in Gambia where cash was not being used either with the vendors or from the gates. So that was also through a partnership with another female. So I think that notion is wrong, and maybe it's because the negative is what's perpetuated more. On the other question, what can we do to have more mentor-mentee come together? I think we have quite a number of those coming up right now, but again, the issue is we don't share it as much. Like what Nyillan just said, if she didn't say it, if she was not on this page, most of us wouldn't know that that's how much her impact has been on the lives of her mentee. So I think we should do a better job. Maybe that's what our issue is, do a better job of really pushing these stories out there, to see that they do exist. But there's a lot of mentorship programs that I've participated in personally, that I've benefited from personally, that I've seen as well. There's a lot of them. But probably what we've not been good at is really pushing this to the public and allowing more people to see the work that's being done on the behind the scenes.
I think Kumbale, I agree with you. That is what I wanted to say. We are not good at putting our stories out there. If you have mentors, say for example, 10 girls, and you put the story out there and they come out and talk about it and they mention you, then that is an opportunity for somebody to hear. But I would like to say that there are a lot of young girls out there, they don't even know where to start from. They've not even had someone even mention the word mentor anywhere in their lives. And some of them are already in high school. So I think we need to put it out there. We need to tell our stories. We need to talk as mentors. We need to get mentees to come out and also put their stories out there and say, I did it because of this lady. She put me through XYZ. So we need to put the opportunities out. The opportunities are there, but most people are not aware. So we need to tell our stories and then encourage people to really come on board. I think with that, we can improve that situation, the mentor-mentee relationship. Pa Malik, do you have any other questions?
No, there are no other questions. Just want to take this opportunity to say thank you to the boss ladies. You know, when you're a CEO, a general manager, you're always busy. But they showing up here today is a testament that they have an open policy. You can reach out to them, right? Sometimes you will feel that, oh, Kumbale may not look like Gambia and she's strict, or Nyillan is looking very strict. I can't approach her. Trust me, they're very nice ladies. You can just go into the LinkedIn, just chat them hi. And I can tell you this invitation was impromptu. I just reached out to Kumbale and Nyillan and said, please, we need you to be on the International Women's Day for FLF. And guess what? They're here, right? So I just want to say personally, thank you for coming. And it's been very inspiring seeing the two of you share your experiences. Thank you. Over to you, Madeleine. No further questions.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ladies. We really appreciate this, Nyillan, Kumbale. I hope your stories and your experiences have touched lives today. And this is already a mentorship. For me, this conversation is already a mentorship because you have put yourself out there, how you got to where you are, the challenges that you are encountering, and how you were dealing with them, and what were those motivating factors that got you to where you are. I had to say, I was supposed to say this at the beginning, but I forgot. One of our speakers, Sainabu, due to unforeseen circumstances, we were unable to have her, but I know she really wanted to be part of this conversation, and we hope she's able to join us at another discussion. And then the message is clear out there. We need to start action. And action comes with showing our story like we concluded now. We need to act, we need to implement, we need to monitor progress, we need to tell our story, and we need to motivate, we need to act as mentors to bring these young ladies forward. On that note, ladies, Kumbale and Nyillan, thank you so much for taking time off your busy Saturday. I know that areas, the sectors where you are, you have no weekends. And we really appreciate this precious time that shows how much you're ready to be mentors to a lot of young women. And of course, some men as well. Thank you so very much, ladies. And back to you, Pa Malik. I guess we will have call on Binta Jallow Cissé to give the closing remarks.
Thank you. Thank you, Madeleine. And I will call on Binta Jallow, who is our women advisor for FLF. She will give the closing remarks. Binta, over to you.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
On behalf of FLF, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to everyone who made this webinar a success. First and foremost, a big thank you to our esteemed speakers, panelists for sharing their insightful expertise and valuable time with us. Their presentation was not only enlightening, but it was thoughtful, and it has shown that women are breaking the barriers. And they have left us with perspectives and knowledge to take forward. Special thanks to our organizers, that's the FLF ex officio, for working tirelessly behind the scene to ensure a seamless and engaging session. Without the dedication, this event would not have been possible. To our wonderful participants, thank you for your time and engagement and thoughtful questions. Your active participation made this session more interactive and meaningful. We hope this webinar has been beneficial to everyone, and we look forward to more enlightening sessions in the future. Stay connected, and thank you once again, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Binta. Thank you very much.
Thank
Back to you, Pa Malik.
Thanks, everyone. This concludes the webinar. So you can stay around if you want to network, chat for 5 minutes.